Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to just be going over some reviews that I have posted previously, whether this be on my YouTube channel or on my website, simontalksmusic.com, where I used to post all my reviews. And I'm just going to go over some old reviews that I did where I have personally changed my opinions on them. It's something I've been thinking about doing for a while because looking back at a lot of my old reviews, I just look at the scores that I gave and think, wow, that is not at all how I feel today. And I feel like there may have been some biases going into those reviews that sort of shifted my thinking on them. And I always want to be open to the idea of, having an open mind, changing opinions, being okay with opinions changing. And yeah, I just wanted to take a look at some of those albums. We've got about 5 to 10 albums here. I'm just kind of throwing this video together at the last minute. I didn't want to put too much time and effort into this. I just kind of wanted to give a bit of an update on a few of the albums where my opinions have changed on them. So the first album that I want to talk about is one that I reviewed in my first video on this YouTube channel. It's Foxing's self-titled album. It's one that I gave a 7 out of 10 at the time. I think I would probably upgrade it to an 8 now, just because I've listened to it a little bit more since, and I've realized I think the main point of that record was kind of to try and showcase like a sense of feeling like there's nothing really going on, or a lack of excitement, a sort of malaise. And I think the album kind of portrayed that really well. I think some of the tracks, don't feel like they really have that much going on in them, but I kind of think that's also the point. And I know it doesn't necessarily make for a great album all the time when people do that, but I have listened to it a little bit more since, and I've just sort of realized some of the subtle details stand out to me a little bit more. And I think the screamed vocals actually have grown on me a lot. I think they really add to the intensity of the project, and I like how it just kind of goes in waves. Like there's moments that feel kind of dull, but there's moments where you really feel a lot. I mentioned at the time there were a couple tracks I really loved. I'm a huge fan of the song Barking, easily my favorite track on the album. And yeah, like I just think as a full album, I've started to really understand the appeal of it a bit more. I think I understand a little bit more what the album was trying to do, and I just think I didn't really explore it well enough at the time. The next album I want to talk about is one that you've possibly been waiting for if you've been following my videos. It's Magdalena Bay's Imaginal Disc. Although unfortunately, it's actually one that hasn't really resonated with me as much as it did at the time. I gave it a 7.5. It's at a very strong 7.5. I'd probably lower that to, I don't know, like maybe a 7 now. It's a good album. I just think it's a bit of an odd one because I like a lot of the individual tracks. There were a few that I mentioned at the time, like Death and Romance, and I especially love That's My Floor. But I just feel like the rest of the album is just kind of there, and it doesn't really do a whole lot. Like it's kind of like there's some decent melodies, I guess, but I don't know. I just don't really think there's a lot of lyrical substance or musical substance, and it just kind of like the tracks are just not that catchy, in my opinion. And yeah, it's just kind of one that I think I tried to like it more than I actually did because everybody else loved it, and I wasn't convincing myself that I fully loved it because I didn't, but I kind of convinced myself I liked it a little bit more than I did, just to kind of feel like I was agreeing with the norm a little bit more. Alright, the next one that I want to talk about is one that I reviewed way back in the day on my website, simontalksmusic.com, and that's Midnights by Taylor Swift. I can't believe I gave it a 5 out of 10. Like listening to it now, I actually think it's probably one of Taylor's better projects. There's definitely some amazing lyrics, like lines such as "I just want to stay in that lavender haze." Like that's some amazing poetry right there. And like a song like "Snow on the Beach," like listen to this, and it's like snow at the beach, weird but fucking beautiful. Like who thinks of this? Like snow on a beach can actually be beautiful, but it's really weird. And it's just like a really creative, really unique way of writing. And I think it's one of the albums that really represents Taylor Swift as an artist the most. Like, there's so many amazing lyrics. Like, listen to this. Can I ask you a question? Did you ever have someone kiss you in a crowded room and every single one of your friends was making fun of you, but 15 seconds later they were clapping too? Then what did you do? Like, it's a very relatable track. I think explaining a very relatable scenario that a lot of people have been in that specific situation, and it's a really interesting question. Like, how did different people handle that situation? And I also love the meta commentary at the end where she calls herself a mastermind, which is very much meta commentary on the album because it's such an amazingly well written album too. I'd probably update that one to like an 8 out of 10 at this point. I can't believe I gave it a 5. It should have been on my top 50 albums that year instead of so many other albums that made that list and shouldn't have, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking with that one. The next one that I want to mention is an album from 2023 that I reviewed a few years ago by the legendary heavy metal band Guts. The album's titled Olivia Rodrigo, named after the famous singer Olivia Rodrigo, who has an album called Guts, actually, which was released in 2021. And the band Guts really made an interesting project about the sudden mainstream breakthrough for Olivia back in 2021, which really shocked the music world. And I love like the epic guitar solos and the insane screamed vocals. It's a fantastic black metal project. The song Vampire is like a very Halloween-esque track, which I think really stands out, and it's kind of one where I'm actually thinking, like, imagine if Olivia Rodrigo had come up with a song title Vampire. Like, that would have been a perfect title for an Olivia Rodrigo track, but instead the band Guts went, hey, we're going to make an album called Olivia Rodrigo with a song called Vampire on it. That's really smart, and they actually have a line in that song that says, this should have been an Olivia Rodrigo song, and that's a really creative idea. I wonder if they actually talked to Olivia about making this project ahead of time. I'm curious about that because, you know, a lot of the stuff that they say on this project has a lot of really interesting information about her career and her songwriting. And yeah, definitely give this one a listen. I gave it a 6 out of 10 at the time. It's definitely like a 9 or 9.5 at this point. And I don't know, at the time I think I was just too shocked by the fact that this exists. To even, yeah, like I couldn't, I just couldn't quite figure it out. Like, it was a weird project. I was like, what are they trying to do here? But listening to it now, I think I was distracted by the kind of weirdness of the idea of it that I forgot to pay attention to the absolutely amazing instrumentation and production. Okay, next I want to talk about the album Glass Beach by the band Plastic Death. I reviewed this project back in early 2024 on my website, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. And I mentioned the lyrics feeling quite cryptic, although there were some recurring themes throughout that album, which I mentioned, including multiple mentions of mayflies. And I think what I missed about this project is that the lyrics on this album all lead to one big conclusion at the end. Do you remember? And the entire point of the project is to try and get you to listen to the whole thing and see if you remember everything else that happened on the album. And I don't. And because of that, I think that 6 out of 10 that I gave it should be downgraded to a 5 out of 10 because the 5 is right in the middle. Are you supposed to remember? Or are you not supposed to remember? I don't know, so I have to give it a 5 out of 10 because it's right in the middle. And finally, the last project that I want to talk about on here that I reviewed is none other than the one, the only Lil Pump 2 by Lil Pump. I reviewed this album back in early 2023, and I can't believe I missed such lyrical genius. This is the man who made the absolutely amazing masterpiece track Gucci Gang, which was a big hit quite a few years ago. That was, I think, like late 2000s that came out. It was like right before the time that black metal completely overtook the mainstream pop charts. Yeah, back when hip hop was actually kind of popular. Amazing lyrics like Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang. And if there's one thing that I wish had been different about this album, I wish that track had been included on this album, and it wasn't, and that was so sad. But Lil Pump actually made a metal song on this album. He made a bunch of songs which I think are absolutely incredible, and he just completely changed music. And you have to hear this album to fully understand just how amazing it is. I think Lil Pump is one of the best artists of all time. In fact, I think he's the best artist of all time. I don't think there's anybody else quite as amazing at making music as Lil Pump. And I sort of wonder if he actually invented music. I wonder if he lived many, many years ago at the start of music being a thing and then just came back to life recently and made this beautiful album for us with some of the most well thought out, well produced music that you have probably ever heard. In fact, just listen to some of these lyrics. Pump rock shit. Slit my wrists. Fuck that bitch. Drop top whips. Go, 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 go. Pump rock shit. Slit my wrists. Fuck that bitch. Drop top whips. Go, 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 go. Wow, that's amazing. Who thinks of such brilliant poetry? And then he goes on to say, this that heavy metal, put the FN to his temple. This that heavy metal, Draco hanging out my trench coat. She swallow nut like jello. This is just beautiful writing, really giving vivid descriptions. He even goes on to say later in that track, I fuck on your bitch with her tampon on. Like, he gives such detail where you can picture everything that he's rapping about. It's just such an amazing album full of amazing lyrics like this. And I think we need to listen to more artists like Lil Pump, and I think we need to give more attention to amazing artists like this. Who cares about stupid artists like the Beatles and Kendrick Lamar and Radiohead and Slipknot and Deftones and Neutral Milk Hotel and Chapel Roan and Charlie XCX and Slowdive and Black Midi and Metallica and Pearl Jam and Magdalena Bay and Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder and Black Country New Road and Talking Heads and David Bowie and King Crimson and Pink Floyd and MF Doom and Nine Inch Nails and Little Sims and The Who and the Rolling Stones and Joy Division and Tyler the Creator and Death Grips and Taylor Swift and Frank Ocean and Bob Dylan and Godspeed You Black Emperor and The Cure and Kate Bush and Daft Punk and all those other stupid artists, because Lil Pump is the only true artist there is who makes real music. Alright, thank you for watching, everyone. Let me know in the comment section down below what albums you've changed your opinions on. I would love to hear about that. I would love to hear what your opinions on my reviews are. Which reviews of mine do you disagree with? Which reviews of mine do you agree with? If you have the time, listen to all the albums that I've ever reviewed and tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And if we cannot agree, then we'll have to flip a coin or something. I don't know. Thank you for watching. I will see you all again soon.